The internet is on fire tonight with the most explosive Trump rumor yet. Claims that the former president's biggest secret has finally leaked, and it's leaving fans utterly speechless. According to sensational gossip outlets and viral social media threads, whispers suggest that Trump may have been hiding a side of himself that no one ever saw coming. The word gay. Yes, you heard that right. What began as a few cryptic posts on Twitter spiraled into a frenzy when screenshots and alleged insider confessions started circulating online. Fans are shocked, critics are stunned, and the political world is reeling as the idea of Trump living a double life clashes head-on with the image he has cultivated for decades. Social media has erupted in chaos. Hashtags like #TrumpSecret, #FansAirShook, and Double Life Donald are trending globally as TikTok creators dramatize the alleged revelations with viral edits, dramatic music, and fan reactions. Supporters insist it's just another smear campaign. Detractors argue it explains years of contradictions. And in the middle of it all, Trump himself has remained tight-lipped, neither confirming nor denying the storm around him. So, is this just another wild rumor? Or is the world witnessing the unmasking of a secret that could change everything? Stay tuned. The drama is only beginning. It began with a whisper, a comment buried deep in an obscure gossip forum, the kind of place where rumors are born before they spread like wildfire. At first, no one paid attention. Trump, after all, had been the subject of every scandal imaginable. But this whisper was different. It wasn't about money, politics, or even his marriage. It was about identity. A single post claimed that insiders were ready to reveal a side of Trump the world had never seen before, one he allegedly fought to keep hidden. Within hours, the post was screenshotted, reshared, and dissected across platforms. And by morning, the internet had locked onto a shocking phrase: Trump is gay. The idea sounded absurd at first, yet it carried an electric charge. Twitter threads exploded with speculation. TikTok creators quickly began splicing old footage, pulling clips of Trump praising certain men, hugging political allies tightly, or delivering remarks in unusual tones. Every moment that once seemed insignificant was suddenly presented as evidence of a double life. Fans were shocked. Critics screamed vindication, and social media platforms turned the rumor into a full-blown spectacle. The hashtags #TrumpSecret and #FansAirShook climbed into the global trending charts, each tweet and meme adding to the frenzy. The first real spark came when screenshots allegedly showing private messages began to circulate. According to these viral images, someone close to Trump had leaked evidence of late-night conversations and arrangements hidden from the public eye. The authenticity of the screenshots was immediately disputed, yet that only fueled the drama. On TikTok, dramatic voiceovers narrated the alleged exchanges, set against ominous music with captions screaming, "The truth was always there." Instagram gossip accounts posted them with clickbait captions like, "Trump's secret life exposed." Whether real or not didn't matter. The internet had already chosen to believe, or at least to obsess. As the rumor spread, so did the reactions. Trump supporters rushed to defend him, calling the gossip deep fake garbage and insisting the entire storm was fabricated to humiliate him. But critics gleefully jumped in, claiming it explained everything from his complicated marriage to Melania to his strangely intense admiration for certain male figures in politics. Commentators on late-night shows had a field day, cracking jokes like, "So that's why he was obsessed with building walls. Maybe they were metaphorical closets." The punchlines went viral, shared thousands of times, further cementing the rumor in popular culture. The silence from Trump's camp only made things worse. Normally, he was quick to fire off fiery denials or all-caps social media rants. But this time, nothing. Not a word, not a tweet. That silence was louder than any denial could have been, and people interpreted it as proof. If he wasn't shouting it down, then maybe, just maybe, it was true. His quiet fueled the chaos, and chaos spread faster than truth ever could. Melania's reaction became another flashpoint. At a charity gala, she arrived alone, her expression as icy as ever, refusing to answer questions shouted by paparazzi. One photographer claimed she rolled her eyes when asked if she knew about the secret, though no one could confirm it. The photo of her walking past reporters, stony-faced and glamorous, became iconic. The internet dissected every frame, some arguing she looked furious, others insisting she looked relieved as if a long-hidden truth was finally surfacing. Ivanka, too, found herself cornered by reporters asking for comment. She dodged, smiled tightly, and slipped away into a waiting car. That silence was instantly labeled suspicious. Don Jr. tried to fight back the only way he knew how, blasting social media with claims that the rumor was a disgusting lie and the work of political enemies. But even his angry posts backfired, with critics mocking him for protesting too much. Eric, as always, became comic relief, allegedly telling friends, "Well, even if it were true, it doesn't change anything, right?" That line, whether real or fabricated, was roasted across social media, with one meme captioning his face, accidentally admitting the rumor might be true. Barron, young and innocent, once again became the unwilling symbol of sympathy. Rumors spread that he avoided leaving his room, embarrassed by the headlines. A classmate allegedly told a tabloid he muttered, "I don't want to hear about my dad on TikTok anymore." That quote was turned into viral edits across social media, painting Barron as the quiet victim of a circus he never asked to join. By oi. The end of the first week, the rumor had grown beyond the original posts, beyond the screenshots, beyond the silence. It had become a phenomenon. Protests even broke out, some mocking, others supportive. One group stood outside Trump Tower waving rainbow flags, chanting, "Come out, Donald," while others angrily countered, "Stop the lies." The clash of voices became a viral clip, replayed endlessly on news channels as proof of how deep the story had cut into the public imagination. The frenzy grew so overwhelming that one political commentator summed it up best. "It doesn't matter if it's true or false anymore. The rumor itself is the story. The world is addicted to it." And that was the truth. For the first time in years, the narrative wasn't about policy, elections, or rallies. It was about Trump as a man, a mystery, and a supposed secret that fans couldn't stop talking about. The collapse of certainty was complete. The internet didn't just want answers, they wanted drama, spectacle, and resolution. And as Trump remained silent, refusing to address the chaos, the storm only grew stronger. The world leaned in closer, waiting, hungry, demanding the next twist. Because with Trump, it was never just politics, it was theater. And theater thrives on secrets, whether real or imagined. The second wave of chaos hit like a tidal surge. If the first leaks and the silence had sparked the fire, this was the moment it roared out of control. The story was no longer just an online obsession. It had invaded living rooms, newsrooms, and even the corridors of power. What began as a rumor had become a global phenomenon, and the Trump family found themselves battling not just speculation, but each other. Inside Mar-a-Lago, the atmosphere was said to be unbearable. Sources whispered of shouting matches that echoed through the golden halls. Trump himself allegedly demanded absolute loyalty from his family, insisting they all denounce the rumors publicly. Melania refused. Her coldness became the story within. The story, with leaks claiming she told him bluntly, "If it's not true, why do you need me to deny it?" That line, whether invented or real, spread like wildfire, and memes immediately stamped it across her photos. Ivanka tried to tread carefully, urging calm, but reportedly clashed with her father when she suggested ignoring the chatter. He allegedly snapped, "Ignore it? They're calling me gay. You don't ignore that." The quote was picked up by tabloids, turned into headlines, dissected endlessly. Don Jr., of course, was louder than ever. He fired off furious tweets, calling the rumor a disgusting leftist smear campaign, but even his followers noticed a sense of desperation in his tone. Critics mocked his frantic energy, suggesting that the harder he fought, the more believable the story became. Eric, once again the butt of jokes, allegedly tried to reassure his father by saying, "Even if people thought it was true, it's not the worst thing, right?" That clumsy remark, when leaked, was savaged online. One viral tweet read, "Eric Trump accidentally invents damage control for a scandal he doesn't understand." And Barron? The whispers about him refusing to appear at family dinners only amplified. A supposed classmate told a gossip site that he rolled his eyes when asked about the rumors, muttering, "I don't care what they say. None of this is my life. The internet latched onto that quote, painting him as the only sane one in the middle of the circus. But the frenzy wasn't limited to family. Washington reacted in its own way. Politicians who once stood firmly by Trump found themselves dodging reporters' questions. Some offered awkward smiles and quick no-comment replies, while others tried to spin the narrative into sympathy. One senator reportedly remarked off the record, "If it were true, it would explain a lot." That remark leaked and exploded online, fueling fresh rounds of speculation. Talk shows and late-night comedians tore into the material, making it a global punchline. One comedian quipped, "Trump always loved rallies. Turns out he meant a very different kind." Clips of that joke went viral, setting the internet ablaze all over again. Even Hollywood jumped into the storm. Celebrities began weighing in with cryptic posts. A pop star tweeted simply, "Secrets don't stay secrets forever," which fans immediately tied to the scandal. An actor joked on Instagram, so he was building closets all along just for himself? The jokes, memes, and commentary spread so far that even people who normally avoided politics couldn't escape the spectacle. It wasn't just news anymore, it was entertainment. Meanwhile, online detectives dug deeper, pulling old interviews and moments from Trump's past. They pointed to quotes, gestures, friendships, even photos of him with male celebrities, claiming the evidence was always there. Entire YouTube channels dedicated hours-long breakdowns, analyzing his body, language, replaying speeches, connecting dots that may never have existed. The obsession grew to the point that anyone defending him seemed drowned out by the sheer volume of speculation. Through it all, Trump's silence became its own kind of theater. Each day he refused to comment, the speculation ballooned. Supporters begged him to issue a denial, critics taunted him to confirm, and the media circled like vultures waiting for a soundbite. But instead, he reportedly stormed through Mar-a-Lago, furious at the betrayal he believed was coming from inside his own circle. He allegedly accused staff of leaking information, shouting that someone in the family was feeding the press. "You think you're protecting yourself? You're killing me." He reportedly roared during one late-night confrontation. The whispers about betrayal only made the scandal juicier. Some pointed at Ivanka, others at Melania, and a few even suggested Don Jr. might be feeding the storm to position himself as the heir of the empire. Whether true or not, the idea of Trump's own family betraying him turned the rumor into a Shakespearean drama. Fans debated endlessly, each side convinced they knew who the real leaker was, and then came the protests. Outside Trump Tower, a surreal scene played out. On one side, activists waved rainbow flags, chanting, "Come out, Donald!" On the other, angry supporters screamed, "Stop the lies!" The two sides clashed in shouting matches caught on camera, the videos going viral instantly. Clips of rainbow flags waving in front of Trump Tower, contrasted with red MAGA hats shouting in fury, became a symbol of the divided nation. The rumor was no longer about truth, it was about belief. Believers saw it as the unmasking of the ultimate secret. Non-believers saw it as the dirtiest smear yet. But for everyone else, it was addictive drama, the kind of scandal that blurred the line between politics and reality TV. And as Trump remained silent, his family fractured and his allies faltered, the world leaned in closer, waiting for the next twist. By the end of the second week, it was undeniable. Trump's so-called secret had shaken both Hollywood and Washington to their cores. The internet didn't just want answers, it wanted blood, resolution, closure, and as with every scandal before, it wasn't going to stop until someone, somewhere, broke. The scandal should have started fading by now, but instead it grew darker, sharper, and more relentless. Just when people thought the storm couldn't get any worse, new leaks emerged, each more shocking than the last. Screenshots, videos, and so-called insider confessions began dropping like bombs, feeding a rumor mill already running at full speed. One gossip blog claimed to have obtained fragments of private emails in which Trump allegedly confided to a longtime friend about feeling trapped by expectations and appearances. The authenticity of the emails was impossible to confirm, but that didn't matter. Their tone, heavy, emotional, and ambiguous, was enough to make people believe. One line allegedly read, Some days I feel like I'm living two lives, and I can't tell anyone the truth. That single sentence sent shockwaves across social media. TikTok edits paired the line with slow piano music, overlays of Trump's old speeches, and captions like, "The secret he couldn't say aloud." Within hours, millions had watched, commented, and debated. The narrative spiraled further when a former staffer, speaking anonymously, told a podcast that Trump's personal behavior had always been more complicated than the public realized. There were things we saw: late-night calls, strange meetings, sudden bursts of paranoia, the staffer hinted. They never outright confirmed the rumor, but the insinuation was enough to pour gasoline on the fire. The podcast clip was shared tens of millions of times, headlines exploded, and hashtags like #our Trump double life and #truth exposed trended for days. As if on cue, Melania struck again with another silent but devastating gesture. At a charity fashion show, she appeared in a flowing white dress. But this time, her entire look was accented with a bold, rainbow-colored clutch. The image became iconic. Photographers snapped it from every angle, tabloids plastered it across their covers, and social media exploded. Was it a subtle nod of support for the LGBTQ+ community? A deliberate signal? Or just coincidence? Nobody knew, and Melania offered no explanation. But the silence around her choices made them louder than any speech could have. On TikTok, fans dubbed her the Queen of Silent Rebellion. Memes labeled her bag as the clutch that collapsed an empire. The family dynamics reached a breaking point. According to insiders, Ivanka privately begged her father to step away from the spotlight, to retreat before the scandal destroyed what little was left of the family's unity. But Trump reportedly snapped back, "Retreat is defeat, and I don't lose." Don Jr. raged louder online, promising lawsuits, calling the leaks satanic lies. Yet behind the scenes, reports claimed he was unraveling, panicked that the family brand was collapsing. Eric, in his usual tone-deaf way, allegedly told reporters, "It's 2025, people don't care about that stuff anymore, right?" The remark, whether real or fabricated, went viral, mocked as the dumbest defense ever made. Barron, meanwhile, stayed silent, but whispers spread that he avoided all family gatherings entirely, distancing himself from the scandal as best he could. That silence made him the internet's tragic hero once again, the quiet son trapped in a family circus he never asked for. The political fallout grew worse. Allies in Washington who had once defended him now slipped away, no longer willing to attach themselves to a man whose private life was now the subject of international mockery. A handful tried to spin it positively, suggesting it was a moment of human vulnerability, but the majority simply kept their mouths shut. Even donors began backing away, pulling money from planned events. One strategist described the situation bluntly to a reporter, "This isn't politics anymore. This is theater. And the public never forgives when the mask slips." As all this played out, protests outside Trump properties intensified. Rainbow flags waved outside Trump Tower while supporters screamed back with fury. The clashes turned violent one night, with police forced to intervene as chants of "Come out, Donald!" clashed with shouts of "Stop the lies!" Footage of the chaos spread instantly, reinforcing the narrative that Trump's alleged secret had become more than gossip. It was now a cultural battlefield. Trump himself reached his breaking point. At a closed-door meeting with allies, insiders claimed he erupted in a tirade that lasted nearly an hour. He allegedly screamed that the rumors were destroying him, that the silence of his family was betrayal, and that the world had turned against him. "They think I'm weak, they think I'm hiding, but I'll never admit to something I'm not," he reportedly shouted. The leak of this tirade, once published, did little to help him. Critics mocked his desperation, while supporters clung to his defiance. But the image of Trump screaming about betrayal only deepened the sense that the scandal was crushing him from the inside. Then came the ultimate twist. A grainy, late-night video surfaced online, supposedly filmed by a hotel guest. It appeared to show Trump slipping into a private suite with a man whose face was blurred. The clip was 15 seconds long, barely clear enough to recognize him, but it didn't matter. The internet treated it as gospel. Headlines blared, "The video that changes everything." News outlets replayed it endlessly, while TikTok remixes turned it into the centerpiece of a dramatic soap opera. Even though skeptics pointed out the possibility of a lookalike or deepfake, the sheer force of the narrative made denial useless. Once again, perception overpowered reality. By the end of the third week, the scandal had reached a fever pitch. The rumor was no longer about whether Trump was gay. It had become something bigger, a symbol of secrets, lies, and the fall of a man who had built his empire on projecting strength. Whether true or false, it no longer mattered. The public believed what it wanted to believe, and what it believed was devastating. The storm had become unstoppable. What started as whispers on a gossip forum now dominated every conversation in America and beyond. Dinner tables buzzed with theories, talk shows ran nightly specials, and TikTok churned out endless edits, each one more dramatic than the last. The rumor had grown larger than the man himself, and whether true or false, it had painted Trump into a corner he could not escape. By now, even his allies began to falter publicly. Former loyalists, once ready to defend him at all costs, avoided his calls, dodged interviews, and declined invitations to Mar-a-Lago. His inner circle had shrunk to a handful of family members and diehards, and even within those walls, cracks were showing. Behind closed doors, the shouting was constant. Melania, still refusing to issue any statement, allegedly told him one evening in front of staff, "Every word you say makes it worse. My silence is the only thing keeping you from total ruin." That line, once leaked, exploded online, embraced as the ultimate act of rebellion. Supporters hailed her as a silent protector. Critics celebrated her as the quiet saboteur. But for Trump, it was the clearest sign that the woman beside him was no longer standing with him. The children weren't much better. Ivanka, drained and tense, began to distance herself from public appearances. She dodged questions from paparazzi with a frozen smile, and insiders claimed she was exhausted by the circus. Don Jr. stayed defiant online, firing angry rants at fake news. But his energy felt more desperate than convincing. Eric fumbled again, allegedly telling friends, "It doesn't matter what people believe as long as Dad says it's not true." That clueless remark became another viral meme, mocked across platforms as the Eric Doctrine. Barron stayed absent entirely, reportedly locking himself away from both the family and the media. His absence became symbolic, the image of a boy refusing to inherit the chaos. Then came the public unraveling. Trump attempted to reclaim the narrative by hosting a rally, hoping to show strength. But the event backfired spectacularly. He stormed onto the stage, his voice hoarse, his face flushed. "They're saying things about me that aren't true. They're spreading lies, disgusting lies," he shouted into the microphone, pounding his fist on the podium. The crowd cheered at first, but the tone quickly shifted. Videos captured his voice cracking mid-sentence, his body language frantic, his denials spiraling into incoherent rage. Clips of the rally spread instantly, captioned with mocking lines like, "Strong men don't collapse like this." For many, it wasn't proof of the rumor, but it was proof of something more devastating, that he was no longer in control. The spectacle didn't end there. That same week, another leak dropped, a set of alleged voice recordings of Trump in a private near conversation. The audio was grainy, but the voice was unmistakably his, muttering phrases that sounded emotional, even confessional. One fragment caught the internet's imagination. "If people knew who I really am, they'd never forgive me." The line, played over and over on news channels and TikTok, became the nail in the coffin. Whether the tape was real or manipulated didn't matter. It felt real, and feeling was more powerful than fact. The fallout was instant. Late-night comedians pounced. Protesters flooded streets once again, rainbow flags clashing with MAGA hats in scenes that looked less like politics and more like theater. Outside Trump Tower, a massive banner was draped across the building. "Secrets don't stay secrets." Photos of the banner went viral, etched into the collective memory of the scandal. The phrase became a chant, a meme, and eventually, a cultural slogan. Inside Mar-a-Lago, things spiraled into chaos. Staffers reported constant tension, with Trump screaming at aides, demanding to know who was leaking. "It's family! It has to be family!" he allegedly shouted, his voice cracking with rage. Accusations flew in every direction. At Ivanka for distancing herself, at Melania for her silence, even at Don Jr. for not fighting hard enough. The family, already fractured, now looked like enemies sharing the same roof. Insiders described dinners where no one spoke, only the sound of silverware clinking against plates, the weight of suspicion hanging in the air. Melania, always enigmatic, delivered her most devastating blow without uttering a word. She appeared at another event, once again alone, dressed in a sharp white suit with a brooch in the shape of a key. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. Was it a nod to unlocking the truth? Was it a taunt? A declaration that she held the secret to everything? The internet went wild, dissecting the choice, turning the key into the next symbol of rebellion. "She has the key, but he lost the lock," one viral caption read. The media circus was relentless. Every hour brought a new clip, a new rumor, a new theory. Some swore the entire scandal was a setup to humiliate him. Others believed it was a decades-long secret finally surfacing. But in the end, the truth didn't matter. The narrative was fixed. Trump's secret was out, and the world was shook. By the fourth week, the scandal had achieved what few ever thought possible. It made Trump look vulnerable. Not powerful, not untouchable, but fragile. The man who once thrived on chaos was now drowning in it. His empire looked less like a fortress and more like a crumbling theater set, the lights still burning but the actors fleeing the stage. Allies whispered of abandonment. Fans argued bitterly online, and critics declared victory. And through it all, Trump remained at the center, thrashing against a narrative he could not control. His denials fell flat. His rage only fed the fire, and his silence gave it life. It was the perfect storm, and he was caught in it with no way out. In the end, it wasn't about whether he was gay or whether the leaks were real, or whether the rumors had any basis in fact. It was about the story the world had decided to believe. And that story, once unleashed, could never be contained again. And so the whirlwind comes full circle. What started as a single whisper online evolved into one of the most sensational stories of our time, a rumor so powerful that it reshaped conversations in Washington, rattled Hollywood, and divided families across America. Whether rooted in fact or spun out of gossip, the claim that Donald Trump had been hiding a secret life, one that painted him in an entirely different light, proved too irresistible for the world to ignore. Fans were shocked, critics were delighted, and the family was left in shambles, each move dissected under the merciless gaze of social media. Melania's silence, Ivanka's distance, Don Jr.'s rage, Eric's blunders, Barron's retreat, all of it became pieces of a tragic drama that no screenwriter could have crafted better. The viral videos, the grainy leaks, the rainbow protests, and the late-night jokes transformed this story into something larger than truth itself. It became spectacle, entertainment, and myth. People no longer asked, "Is it true?" They asked, instead, "What does it mean?" And that's the chilling part, because in the world of scandal, meaning often matters more than reality. Trump's empire was built on power, bravado, and the illusion of control. But here, in this saga, he was stripped of all that. The more he fought back, the weaker he appeared. The louder he shouted, the more fragile he seemed. His very silence became incriminating, feeding the narrative that he was hiding something too explosive to admit. So what's next? Will this rumor fade into history like so many scandals before, dismissed and forgotten as the next headline takes? Over? Or has this story planted a permanent seed of doubt, one that will haunt every move, every word, every appearance Trump makes from here on? Will Melania eventually break her silence with a truth bomb of her own? Will another insider step forward with proof that changes everything? Or is this all just a brilliant reminder that in today's world, gossip is stronger than fact, and the internet decides what's real? The answers remain hidden, locked away behind golden doors and guarded secrets. But what's undeniable is this: the world has been watching, and the world has been shook. For the first time in decades, Donald Trump is not the one controlling. The narrative is controlling him. And whether he likes it or not, his name is now etched into a story that will never truly disappear. Now it's your turn. What do you believe? Is this the unmasking of a long-hidden truth? or just another elaborate smear designed to take him down? Do you think the silence speaks louder than any denial ever could? Or is this simply proof that we're living in an age where rumor is as powerful as reality? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear every theory, every opinion, every angle. Don't forget to smash that like button. If you were glued to this saga, subscribe so you never miss the next shocking twist, and hit the notification bell to stay ahead of the drama. Because if this scandal has taught us anything, it's that secrets don't stay secrets forever. And in the world of Trump, the next revelation is always just around the corner.